Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles with Irish Gaming and I'm bringing you another Ninth Age battle report. Now this is just a little game here we got going on. And I actually played this last year. I think before Christmas even. And I just been kind of sitting on this report. I think I might have made it and then I wanted to remake it. So I'm remaking it. And it was a fun little game. We played the multiple objectives. And one of my buddies, Alex, he's starting Undying Dynasties army. And I think what we're going to do is, as he kind of builds up his army, we're going to play some smaller games until we get up to that big game. And then, maybe we'll even go past 4,500 points, depending on how much he can build up. So, yeah, we played the multiple objectives, which was even kind of fun at, like, a lower level. So, we have, these are my objectives. I rolled honors everything. I rolled from all the same category, interestingly enough. Honors everything, so I can never flee during this game. Bring it down, so choose a model with towering presence in the opponent's army. You have to kill that before turn 4, the end of turn 4, so that's interesting. And then thinning out the herd, which is I have to let the unit with the most models in my army die if I want to win that objective. So I thought those were pretty interesting. Not being able to flee is kind of like, puts a challenge on your whole army, and then losing a whole unit just to get in to try and win the objective is interesting enough too. And then my opponent also rolled, but he rolled a couple different things. So he rolled precious cargo, which is you have to keep a scoring unit alive, which is, you're kind of doing that normally. And then he rolled message, which this one was hilarious because he only has one character in this little Undying Dynasties list. And it's choose a character in your army. That character needs to be inside my deployment, the opponent's deployment zone by turn 4, or at start of any. So even if he gets him in at turn 4, he can get him out at turn 5, and he gets a point. And then thinning out the herds. So he has also to lose his unit with the biggest models. And then, so I just played a small, again, this is only a 1,500 point game, so I had exactly 600 characters. I had a Knight Commander with a great weapon, he's the general, he's on a horse, and then he just had the Basalt Infusion and the Winter Cloak. I just wanted him to have one up with a great weapon. And then I had a Prelate with a horse and shield. And then he has the Alchemist Alloy, also to give himself a 1-up. And then the Crown of the Wizard King, because I don't have another wizard, so this guy's got one spell and his bound spells. So, pretty limited magic. And then I have 7 Knightly Orders, with Lances, Musician, Shield, Standard Bearer. That fills out my core. I think core was like 375 points or something like that at a 1,500 point game. And then rounding out my list, I have 2 units of Riders. One with brace of pistols, or both with brace of pistols and heavy armor, 1716. So, and then for my Crown of the Wizard King, I rolled up Spectral Blades from Evocation, which was not quite what I was looking for, especially because I already have a reroll to wound spell. But we'll see if it comes in handy, right? And then I don't really have a great pick of my opponent's list. This is what our table looked like. So we had a water and a forest on one side, and a field and a hill, and a little wall in the middle. We only played on a 4x4 board. It's just a quick pick of my army. And then I'll describe my opponent's army when I show you deployment. And I'll show you how I ended up deploying. So we played counterthrust for our deployment, and he actually won the roll for the first. He got to drop first, so he ended up winning by a +1 for first turn. And I just put riders on both sides and my knights in the middle with my characters in it. And then my opponent didn't really mirror me. He sort of congregated in the middle together. And in his army, he had a small unit of archers, a unit of 3 chariots, a casket at the top, and then a Death Cult Hierarch. And I want to say the Hierarch had maybe the Talisman of the Void. I don't think he had the Magical Heirloom, which I don't think Undying Dynasties have a hereditary spell. And then he had a Colossus with a bow. So a decent amount of shooting, decent amount of magic. Not quite, a little bit more rounded out than mine. Mine was just like shooting and knights. So and then my opponent won the roll for first turn. And I want to make sure everyone's clear that the way multiple objectives work is so we randomly generate 3, and in order to win the objective, you have to score more of those than your opponent. So if I complete 2 and my opponent only completes 1, I win the objective of 3 points. If I complete 1 and my opponent completes 1, we actually tie. So I think it's a fun little system. We've been playing some games with them. This is the only recorded one I have, but we've been finding them a lot of fun. Just in general, they kind of spice up your games. They're not really made for, I would say, like tournament lists, because tournament lists have a lot of scoring in them, and most of the time, you don't really need a lot of scoring when you're playing the multiple objectives. Just something I noticed. So, but now we'll get back to the game. The Undying Dynasties won the first turn, which was unfortunate because I vanguarded in a way which I was hoping to win first turn, but alas, I did not. So these chariots charge the 7 riders, and these 7 riders are the riders that I'm trying to kill, to lose, and those chariots are actually his unit that he's trying to keep alive. So it's kind of an interesting combination. My stand and shoot goes well. I do 3 wounds, and then he also loses 2 wounds going through the forest. So good stand and shoot and good DTs might actually help me there. And then this is kind of just generally how the Undying Dynasties move on their turn 1. He really just, he moves the giant 6 inches to shoot my knights. The Death Cult Hierarch moves out of the archers, because again, he's trying to let those archers just get killed, and he's also thinking like, he's thinking about how he's going to try and get this archer into my deployment, or that Death Cult Hierarch into my deployment zone. He casts ice and fire on these riders over here, and I believe he does 1 wound. And then he also shoots at them with his archers. He does another wound, and they pass their panic test, which was great. And then going into and his giant bow hits and kills 2 knights too, which was unfortunate. But what can you do? It's a giant bow. In combat, his impact hits only kill a couple guys, and then we both strike. I roll a little bit better than him, and I think I do like another wound or 2, and then he does another wound. We exchanged a wound, and then I think I hold on like a 4, so that was pretty awesome. Maybe even a 3. It was a really low. At the start of Empire Council turn 1, I actually charged these riders into these archers, and he stand and shot, which is something we later learn Undying Dynasties can't do. So, but at the time he stand shot, I lost a guy, I passed the panic test. I was just making it harder for myself, really. And then this is how I move with my knights. I just move them all the way up to that wall. I'm thinking like I'm gonna try and get as many buffs off as I can. I've got like a strength 6 knight commander. He's gonna have distracting on the whole unit if he charges in with his giant. And I just got to go in and get that guy because, I don't have all my shooting's engaged in combat, and I don't have any ranged magic. So I get Flex Card 6, which gives me oodles of dice for some bounce spells and 1 evocation spell. I do get off a couple bounce spells though. I think I tried to get Spectral Blades off on the riders facing the chariot, but he stops that. But I get the 5-up. Aegis Save in combat off for the knights, and I get Ruled Wound off, so both great spells. Even if I'm wounding on 6s, there's a chance I could do some serious damage to that Colossus. And this rider whiffs hardcore. He and his buddies go in there, and they do no wounds with 6 attacks. They got Brace of Pistol, 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, they do no wounds. The skeletons kill 2, but he sticks, so I don't know. What can I say? And then over here in this combat, I believe we did 2 wounds, but he made 2 4-up armor saves, and I think he did 1 wound to us, and my Knight Commander's close by, so they were able to pass, it was like a Discipline 8 check or something like that, maybe, to stick around, so pretty good. Undying Dynasties turn 2. He marches his giant into the woods, or he doesn't march, he just moves him back 6. And then this Death Cult Hierarch fails his March block test. I've got a musician nearby within 8 inches, and he fails. And my opponent was like, I don't even know what to do with this guy, so he decides to chaff with him. Which, I mean, I'm sure on any Undying Dynasty players are like, what are you doing? But his fear was that, like, the best place he could put him is next to the giant. And he's thinking this way he might be able to get 2 shots with the bow instead of just, getting charged next turn. And I think he wasn't even thinking about crumbling, but I think he was also not super worried. There's a lot of things going on, but yeah, he decides to chaff with his Death Cult Hierarch, and yeah, this is what everything's looking like. So got a lot of riders engaged in the flanks. The unit that's trying to die is doing rather well. The one that I would like to live is doing very poorly, and my knights are just trying to get into combat. Yep. Yep. So, in the magic phase, he casts Ice and Fire on these bad boys. I let this go off because I, got 1 up. He doesn't do any damage. And then I have to stop Altered Sight because I don't want him to bring back any chariots. And I let him get off the casket of top spell, and it kills 5 knights. So, I think I actually rolled a 15. Or, I mean, I lost 5 wounds. I lose all the rest of the knights. So the knight unit's dead. Oh, man. Yeah. It's funny. On a 3d6 leadership test, the averages should only be like 11 or 10 or 12, which is only like 2 or 3 wounds, but I rolled way too high. And this is what it's looking like before combat. Actually, I think this is what it looks like after combat, now that I think about it. Yeah, the riders on the right, it's just a pillow fight between the skeletons and the one guy remaining. He can't do anything. He's got pistols. Those can't kill skeletons. And then the chariot combat, I think I lose 1 more, but I stick. So, Empire Sansal turn 2. We're just going to run this bad boy down. Even though he really hasn't done anything to us, now we're ready for some revenge. And I get the evocation spell off, and that gives me another Veil token, which is just a cool thing about evocation in general. I love that lore. I'm not going to say Empire should have it, but I just love that lore. And I get the Lethal Strike version off and rerolled wounds on those riders. We really don't have any trouble running down that Death Cult Hierarch, and then we go into the forest, into the giant. We passed our DTs on both characters, which is great. And we're kind of ready to rock and roll on this guy. Thankfully, he missed his bow shot on the previous turn. Otherwise, he could have killed one of those characters too. I think it was only a 5-up, because he didn't get Altered Sight off. But yeah, that was kind of scary. These riders do a great job. They destroy that precious cargo, and they get rid of those chariots with Lethal Strike. I don't even know if I rolled a Lethal Strike. I think I just might have done a couple wounds again. Because I'm hitting pretty well on like 3s with the brace of pistols and the horses, or some attacks, and mounts always do pretty well. And then over here I lose the other riders to these guys too, and these guys are the ones trying to die. So it's kind of amusing that I should have let my knights be the one unit I wanted to die, but I really didn't actually want that to happen. Yes, and this is what it's looking like at the end of the Empire Sunstal 2, and this is when he starts to take crumbles, and he doesn't crumble anything, actually. He rolls so well on all his discipline checks, which the Kaskin and the Colossus are 8, so that's a decent discipline, but the Skeletons are 4, and then at the start of his turn 3, he rolls again, nothing on the Colossus, nothing on the Casket, but he loses 1 Skeleton Archer, so all in all, actually a really good crumble. Yeah, really good crumble. Could have been far worse. He plucks a wound off on these guys with the archers. He was debating whether or not we want to shoot these guys, because I get an objective point if they die. And then we go into combat, and I'm only able to put 1 wound on the Colossus. That guy's got a 3-up armor save. He's tough. And even with like reroll to hit, and I didn't get any buffs off on these guys, because I got the evocation spell off. Yeah, I only get 1 wound on him, and then he doesn't really crumble any, because I think I won by 2, but he only took 1. I said, no, I think I just won by 1, but then, he doesn't take any extra crumble, because he doesn't do anything to me. So, Empress Lancel turn 3, I move the riders over to shoot at the archers, or maybe even threaten the casket. I get the Flux card 5, which is a lot of dice when you only have a spell and 3 bounce spells. So I take the time and 5 dice the evocation spell, and I don't kill myself. I do take 2 hits, that are like the wounding on the 4s with a B10, and it puts 1 wound on my prelate. So all in all, actually, really worth it to get Spectral Blades off. Now I got Reeled Wound and Lethal Strikes, and then in combat, it's actually pretty. Or I don't want to say pretty dicey. So I've got 1 wound on my prelate, and he's starting to split up his attacks a little bit more because he wants to kill the Knight Commander, but he's got distracting and a 1-up 5-up. He ends up putting 1 wound on the Knight Commander. I didn't take a wound. That's the wound from the miscast, and then I put another 2 wounds on the Colossus. So he's got 2 wounds left, and yeah, going into turn 4, this is what it looks like. So he just kind of turns his archers to face. And yeah, we're just kind of trying to grind him down in combat. I got the flaming attacks bounce spell off too, just to try and kill him on the previous turn, but that didn't work because you know what works really well? That killing Colossuses? Horses. Horses with Lethal Strike on his turn 4, just in the nick of time, really, for the objective as well. Both my horses hit. One of them rolls a 6 to wound him. One of them re-rolls the wound, rolls another 6. Lethal Strike horses kill a Colossus. So that was awesome. And then I actually just turned my Knight Commander and my Prelate to face. Because at this point, I'm thinking like, I can just walk out of forest and I'll just get that casket the next turn. So they just turn to face. No real pressure for them in this situation. Especially as this, as you can see, this battle's starting to wind down. So my turn 4, I charge into his archers. Even though I'm thinking like he gets a point if I kill them. Right now, I've got a point for killing his Colossus. I haven't fled at all during this game. And I'm thinking like I can always just try and let this unit be killed. So we go into combat. I do a few wounds. He does wound me. And then in his turn 5, the rest of them just finally crumble. Low skeleton leadership. Never going to stick around for that long. So this is what it's looking like. The casket for top hasn't really crumbled at all, so it's still full health. So why not? At the start of Empire Sunsol, turn 5, we just put everything in there. Put the rider in there because if I kill him, I get an objective point. My Knight Commander's like, hey, come on in, let's do this together. And he's like, you sure, boss? And he's like, yes. Go ahead. You do the heavy lifting, Rider. I get the evocation spell, Spectral Blades off on the Rider. Mostly because, at this point, it's, just kind of for fun. And then somehow I get 2 more bounce spells off. He stops one with flaming attacks because you want the d6 hits to hit him. And then he rolls, I think, like a double ones for one of the other bounce spells, so... Yeah, and then we go into combat. We have no problem just putting 5 wounds on that bad boy between, the Knight Commander with Grey Weapon, Prelate, with Fine Attacks, and the Rider with Real Wound. And then the Divine Light comes out, and it kills the Rider, which is hilarious. Exactly what I needed. And then I think he gets 3 hits on the Prelate. He doesn't do any wounds. He gets 4 hits on the Knight Commander, and he might do a wound, but I might save it with my Aegis save. And then... the Knight Commander Prelate, after seeing their Rider friend evaporate, they pass their panic test, and the game ends like that. So, really fun game. I'm really kind of excited to see Alex build up his Undying Dynasties more. Let's just take a look back at the multiple objectives and see how we both did. So, the game ends at 12-8 on, like, the normal scale. I don't know if there's, like, a smaller scale for... like smaller skirmish or smaller games. I guess I haven't seen it anywhere. So we just used the normal one, which was like a 12-8, because I only had my characters alive, and then I got all the rest of his points. And then, so I completed all my objectives. I never fled. I brought down his giant with Towering Presence. It was Colossus with Towering Presence. At the start of, I think it was his turn 4, so, I did it for the end of game turn 4. And then I did thin out my herd because I lost my unit of 7 riders. that I wanted to die. So yeah, I completed all my multiple objectives. I was feeling pretty great about that. And then, unfortunately for Alex and the Undying Dynasties, they had a little bit more trouble, mostly because I mean, some of them got denied to him. I killed his precious cargo. The scoring unit of chariots, they were destroyed. So unfortunately, he you know they're not alive, so he loses that one. And then the message that his Hierophant had also got lost, got trampled by some cavalry, and that guy couldn't deliver a message. And then he did thin out the herd by losing his archers. So Alex was able to complete one objective, and the game ends up being a 15-5 for the Empire Sandstal. So yeah, this was a really fun battle. Again, it was so fun to play like just a small game. I don't think I've ever played such a small game in Ninth Age. Probably, I don't only think I've played anything small like this, and maybe like a 500-point game. I've played those, like way back in the day, like maybe an 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy. But, yeah, 1,500 points is small, but fun. So we're looking forward to building up these kind of battles as Alex keeps building up more UD. It gives me gives me some incentive to paint more knights. So I'm gonna try and keep playing a knight list, or as many mounted things I think as I can. I'm gonna keep trying to put them on the field for this list. Just really fun. Yeah, I think this is probably gonna be like a long series of like 500 increment games that we're gonna try and keep building up. Maybe we can. It'd be nice if we can do one a month. I don't know if Alex and I can keep up that pace of building and painting. But we'll see, because, yeah, it was really fun playing a smaller game, and I'd really am looking forward. I've already I think I've already made a 2,000-point list for, like, a knight list. I didn't really have to do much. I just tweaked the characters and added some Knights of the Sun Griffin. But yeah, no, really fun. Looking forward to playing more games like this, and then getting up to those, higher levels of 4,500 points. Maybe we'll even go higher, maybe 5,000 points. So I hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share it, post it on the forums, post it on Facebook, do whatever you want with it. It's in your hands now. I'll leave it all to you. Thanks for watching, guys.